Okay, good morning, Johan.
Good morning.
Finally, we are talking.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. And you've been here, what, 5 times? 6 times?
5 times, I would say.
This is the fifth.
Yeah.
This one. Okay, so maybe you want to share a little bit background. When did you come first time? Why did you come first time? And then we'll take from there.
Yeah, I'll provide some background. I About 5 years ago, I was hit with a really bad health issue, and I struggled a lot with fatigue and brain fog, and basically I lost my health. Went from being really active to basically not being able to go to the gym. I was barely able to walk 2 kilometers on a beach, and something was really wrong with my body, and I didn't know what it was. So what happened was that I spent about 3-4 months trying to get help from the medical system, but I realized pretty quickly that with chronic illness, they don't really know what to do. They can't really help you.
So you came to them and you said, hey, I don't have any energy.
Yeah, I did like basically all normal testing, scans, and they said there is nothing wrong with you.
Go home?
Yeah, exactly.
Just go home?
Yeah, and it would be like,
I can't walk home. I have no energy.
yeah, so it was like probably 7 months of being pretty disabled until I, started to realizing that if I'm gonna get well again, I need to take it into my own hands. I need to take charge of this. So I started doing research about
Healing.
alternative therapies and whatever could help me that was not mainstream. And that led me into ayahuasca. Started reading about it, and like within a week or two, I decided to try it. So while I was my sickest, I booked a retreat in the Amazon jungle in Peru, in Iquitos, to spend 2 weeks with ayahuasca and see if that was an option for me. Before that, I had never done any type of plant medicine or any type of psychedelic work, so it was straight into something that was completely unknown for me. And while it didn't heal me on the spot, it showed me things that would be really useful for me later on in my healing. It basically showed me for the first time in my life that the concept of myself I had built from thoughts and emotions and identified with, that wasn't really who I was.
So the self-projected image.
So basically what ayahuasca showed me was that I'm really separate from my thoughts and emotions. I'm something different. By identifying with my negative thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, I basically created a concept of who I was that was pretty distractive, to be honest. So ayahuasca showed me this, and it left me like with a lot of confusion because all my worldview had basically been turned upside down.
Shattered.
Yeah, it was like completely like what the hell.
Yeah, who am I now?
So and while I was in the jungle, I got a really bad parasite infection. So I left even worse than I came, but with insights that would be really useful for me moving forward. So I came to Cusco. I was resting and healing, and
Why did you came here? What was the reason you came to this area?
why we came to Cusco, it didn't really have any reason more than curiosity, I guess.
Just exploring.
Yeah, but the exploration would end up being hospitalized with parasite infections. So through divine intervention and through some help of my partner, we realized that we wanted to try Huachuma or San Pedro. Didn't really know anything about it or what it was, but basically we ended up at your retreat to give it a try.
Do you want to share how she found us? That's a cool story.
It's actually a cool story.
It's a very cool story.
So my partner also did ayahuasca
In a different location.
in a different location, and in her ceremony, in her experience, she saw a vision of a cactus. So basically, she she started looking for ceremonial cactus, or if you could work with cactus in a healing type of way.
Some kind of cactus healing in
Yeah, yeah,
Cusco,
yeah, like
something like
cactus ceremony
that.
or whatever. So we were already in Cusco, and you were about an hour away. So your website came up, and
And she never heard about San Pedro Huachuma. Never. It
no,
just came a cactus in the ayahuasca. And she's like, okay, I don't know what does it mean, but I see a cactus. And then
exactly,
she found out. That's incredible story. That's
exactly.
how ayahuasca leads to Huachuma exactly in real life. That's powerful story.
It's a powerful story, and I'm glad we followed that calling and came here to give it a try.
Okay, now let's
Because
continue from that
what
point.
happened here was that everything that had appeared, all the insights I had during ayahuasca, and like all the confusion, to be able to untangle that and make some sense of it, it turned out that Huachuma, or San Pedro, for those who are not aware, that it's an excellent medicine to actually piece things together that are scattered, to bring clarity to confusion. So instead of staying for one session, we ended up staying I stayed for about 50 sessions, about 3 months
Straight.
straight, because I realized directly that what I intuitively felt during ayahuasca, that I need to make some sense of all of this, and I need to understand where things went wrong and how to fix it. It gave me the perfect space to do that type of work, and realizing that I had read about and learned about the body and mind connection, and I knew intellectually how your thinking and your emotions can actually impact your physical body. Like what you hold in your mind tends to eventuate in the body, because the body has it's more susceptible to the mind, basically. So I realized that I experienced with your medicine how everything went wrong, and how I could recreate the view of myself that was beneficial to me. So what happened was I had learned intellectually before about the science of neuroplasticity, which basically means that your conditioning from your life determines how your neural networks are wired. And if you hardwire a negative view of the world and a negative view of yourself, your life will be reflected by that. And by working with Huachuma, with you, I know I was able to rewire my neural pathways in a way that was more beneficial to me, and I was more true to reality. So that's like the work by Joe Dispenza, but with direct experience of how to do it.
Actual experience of rewiring,
Yeah,
not a theory about it.
exactly. So that's what happened, what started during those 3 months. And basically, I changed, but it would be really meaningful to me to leave and come back multiple times, because then I could bring my experiences from my life back and keep questioning what doesn't serve me, and continue the process of realizing who I really am. And each time I've been here my life has been gradually better the more I've worked with Huachuma, with you. And this time around, I realized that, yeah, I rewired most of the past conditioning. I don't feel any trauma, any problem, anything left to fix. Like I wake up happy, which I didn't do for a long time. And I enjoy my life a lot more as a result of this.
That's amazing overview of the work. There is
Yeah.
so much more, of course, happened in the last 5 years that we can talk about, but this is important point. The rewiring of your conditioning, of your brain, of your outlook. This is probably the most important thing next to health. Of course, health comes first. You need to be healthy to enjoy life, to do life. But after that, the next one, outlook on life has to be completely reset for conditioning. If we want to really live the way we want, according to our purpose, we need to do serious realignment, serious work, which you did. And it's a continuous process too.
Yeah.
It's not like we're done, the whole life is just healing and working and awakening, but each time we feel better.
Knowing that the physical body is just a reflection of your programming, of your conditioning, of your belief system, of your emotions on a daily basis, of your thoughts. Knowing that, I realized that my physical body couldn't have gotten better if I didn't fix my
Mind.
mind
So
and stopped.
mind come first.
Yeah, like it starts with reconditioning the mind to see the world and myself in a way that serves me. And then the physical body, of course, you need to do all the physical work to keep a healthy body. But if you have an unhealthy mind, most of that work will
reflect.
It will not change the body if you don't change the mind as well.
Of course, healthy mind, healthy body. It just can't be otherwise. You can't be healthy body, sick mind, or healthy mind, sick body. It's like it has to work together. We are one. It's all
Exactly.
parts of us. We are the body, and we are the mind, and we are the spirit.
Yeah,
So everything has to be really in balance.
exactly.
But the main thing is like really your command center has to be well.
Yeah,
Sure. That's where everything goes. If you depress here, you see here.
yeah. And if you're conditioned to constantly feel negative emotions, it blocks you from feeling higher emotions like love, peace, gratitude.
Exactly.
You cannot feel that at the same time as you walk around in a
Negative.
negative space. So by unlocking those beautiful emotions, it's basically like reconditioning yourself to not see things around you and yourself in a negative way.
Yeah, being positive about yourself, positive about life. It's a positive outlook.
It's like what enables you to be excited about life as well, and to do what you do with excitement and joy.
Amazing. That's such drastic change from the person who came here 5 years ago.
Yeah, you remember how I came? I wasn't really
well.
well.
That's like saying it lightly.
So for me, my condition was probably partly mental and emotional, but it was also partly physical because I believe I was already carrying toxins in my body. I was carrying things like mold that I had no idea about at the time, and I suffered from a variation of things.
It's all accumulated and became that chronic fatigue.
Yes,
Would you call?
exactly.
And so, what's the treatment normal? What's the medical, like Western medical treatment for chronic fatigue? When people come to the doctor and saying, "Hey, help me! I don't have energy to move around." What do they do?
Basically, they don't do anything. They don't test for any environmental toxins that can provide these symptoms. They don't really spend 5 minutes with you, and they're like, "We cannot find any problem in your basic blood panel. So, we see that you're a bit negative, so we'll give you some antidepressants and send you home." And this is how people continue suffering from these kinds of chronic problems for decades.
And
Some
the
people
common-
never get well because they don't seek alternatives when the standard treatments doesn't work.
It's a serious situation,
Yeah.
very serious, and the condition becomes worse. worse because if your body is sick, it just gets sicker. It just accumulates more problems, more negativity, more sickness. You just become worse every year, and then hopeless completely that you can ever recover from this.
Exactly.
So what, you just become antidepressant addict for life.
Probably.
That's it.
So the only way I find is to be the leader of your own recovery. You cannot really expect the system to help you or support you, because if they spend 10 minutes with each patient or 5 minutes with each patient, they will never be able to uncover. For example, if you have mold toxins in your body, if you have gut dysbiosis with bad bacteria, parasite, things that have made your body their home, they will never be able to find biological reasons or psychological reasons in that amount of time. So they serve a purpose for acute illness, acute infections, acute physical problems, but with so many people suffering from chronic illness today, it's becoming a big problem that alternative ways of healing is not really promoted. Put it like that.
Well, unfortunately, that's true. Alternative healing, it's actually presented as a negative thing. It's like in a negative way. It's kind of
course.
By the mainstream medicine, they just they create a certain negative outlook at that.
That's why, like, I prefer to look at anecdotal evidence of things that are not yet researched in decades of studies. But if there are enough stories of people getting healing from something, I prefer to try it than wait for the so-called scientific community to catch up with what's already there, but not in the way their minds can believe in it.
Yeah, they're behind this for sure. Way behind.
Yeah.
I mean, the Western, if we talk about like psychiatry, the Western psychiatry is completely helpless when it comes to depression. I know this firsthand from many clients here, not only clients, but also therapists, licensed therapists who come here for healing.
Yeah.
And they tell me about their practices. So it's like inside look into the system through the practitioners, licensed practitioners. And I know kind of the inside story about it, not just the clients telling me how it wasn't effective. It's unfortunate. It's very limited. They are very limited because they're only using words, and words cannot penetrate deep enough.
Yeah.
They cannot. They just can't get to your soul. You need to have other tools like plant medicine to get into your soul, into your brain chemistry, rewire you, give you insights, and address the root cause of your problem. Then you can heal.
Sure.
So that's just talking about depression. Was it your case? Were you depressed when you were sick?
No, I was not really depressed because I always woke up with a strong drive to fix my issues. I was never like giving up and submitting to it. So I don't feel like I was depressed. Of course, you become negative when you wake up every day and something is wrong, but you don't know. You don't have the answers. You don't know what the problem is, so you don't know what to do to fix it. That's very frustrating. But I know from all my probably spent 5,000 hours and $100,000 trying to fix this in a variety of ways.
The chronic fatigue.
Yeah, or the problem with my body. That is a fact.
What did you pay $100,000 for?
Well, I've done mostly everything from medicine work to stem cell therapy to advanced testing to blood treatments to insane amount of vitamins and supplements of different kinds. It's a very expensive process when you don't know what path to take, because you don't know what the problem is. You have a label, but that label is really just based on a collection of symptoms. It's not really diagnosed by testing for a specific thing. So to heal, like now with everything I know, the first thing I would do would be
New diagnosis.
the first thing I would do is to test for all the potential environmental toxins and biotoxins and chemicals that can create that collection of symptoms, because that testing I didn't know about 5 years ago. So I would first test that to either exclude that I had one of those issues, or if I found like one of those issues, which I did with mold toxicity, then I follow alternative treatments to fix that. That would be one of my approaches, and my second approach would be working on my mind, on my emotions, and awakening the life force, awakening the desire to live. So it will be a combination of biological, physical testing and treatments, and spiritual work, for example, with the Huachuma. So instead of going to a therapist for 2 decades, like I would prefer to use medicine tools like this to parallel with the biological work, untangle all of those things that can actually create physical problems, because it's a fact that suppressed and repressed emotions of a lifetime, that's basically energy that is trapped in your body. And by identifying with the mind and thoughts, you avoid feeling and releasing what's been accumulated for a long time. So I would do a combination of those two things. If I don't plan to ever get this type of sickness again, but if I do, I have knowledge I didn't have before that would definitely help me to fix my problem, because the body can regenerate itself, but you need to
fix the mind.
You need to do the work. You basically need to change your belief system of the world and yourself. So it's been a process, and I'm very happy and grateful that I had to go through these challenges, because without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. Mentally stable, emotionally stable, feeling connected, and strong, physically strong, and excited about my life.
Remember 5 years ago when you came here so sick, barely moving around, and I told you there will be one day when you will be grateful for your sickness.
Yeah.
And he told me, like, what do you mean? All I want is just to heal. All I want is just to get out of this crippling condition. How can I be grateful for this? Remember this conversation? It's the very first time. I told you, you will see, it will happen. And now, years later, you probably are grateful, because that brought you to the medicine work, to the whole spiritual dimension that you weren't aware existed before that. You were living in a purely materialistic world.
Exactly.
So getting sick, it almost was like a spirit's calling to spirituality and awakening.
In one way, it was a challenge that if I would get through it, my life would be forever different. If I would give up and stop trying and follow the traditional medical system, I would still be sick, unhappy, and maybe dead.
Maybe dead, yeah. In that condition, yeah. And you're 32 years old.
But what's important as well is, like, as a side effect of doing this work, besides my actual health, by getting to know myself, my understanding my mind and how it works, by understanding what fuels me and what drains me, I've been able to make decisions in my life that I wouldn't have been able to make otherwise, and actually recreate a life that supports my health on a physical, emotional, spiritual level. So it's showing up not only in my body but in my environment that this work has made a big difference.
Amazing. It's an amazing story. That's why I really wanted to share it with people, because it just can give so much hope to others who suffer from this debilitating what you call disease, chronic fatigue,
Chronic illness, like
chronic illness.
it can appear in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, and a lot of times they diagnose you with chronic fatigue after doing whatever they do to not find your true issue. But a lot of times there is a biological reason that they don't test for that can replicate the same symptoms. And I go back to mold toxicity because it's one of the most common root causes of chronic illness. For example, like in people who are diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, 93% test for
Bacteria.
elevated levels of mycotoxins. And mycotoxins is the toxins produced by mold, which you can inhale from leaky buildings, which you can get from contaminated food without knowing it. Because you don't know if you inhale mold spores from a leaky building. Like 50% of houses in the US are water damaged or moldy, and people don't know that inhaling those spores, they can colonize in your body and they can create chronic illness that replicate the symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome.
A direct correlation. Mold, chronic fatigue.
Well, basically, mold can give you a lot of symptoms, but for me, like the most common symptoms were extreme fatigue and lack of energy and foggy brain. You cannot concentrate. Like I had to drop out of a really nice business
That you built. You
that I
and your
built
doctor.
with my partners. I had to drop out of it because my brain didn't work anymore. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't do the type of
Complete fog. It's like
Yeah.
complete fog.
you know.
Like driving in the fog.
So when I was actually working with the medicine the first time around, that's when I realized that this shit is serious. I need to put everything I have into it, and that meant making sacrifices that were tough at the time. But anyways, understanding how you can be diagnosed with a chronic issue because they haven't done extensive testing of potential causes. That's really sad, because
But logical would be like to test.
yeah,
It's
because
like-
but the thing is that the doctors you go to, your primary doctors, you go there. Like, I asked my doctor in New Zealand that I went to after I had found that I have mold toxicity. I asked my doctor, like, what is your process for someone with mold toxicity? And they basically said that we don't understand these issues. We don't have a process of how to fix it. They don't have, like, for me to do a urine test to find I had it, I had to send the test to the US to get results. Because in New Zealand where I lived, they don't have any lab that does that type of testing, and that's why. And New Zealand is a very humid country. There is a lot of moldy homes.
So that's like a normal
It should
condition.
be. It should be normal things to. But the thing is, like, the doctors, they're following an education that is based on decades old research. These testings are new. Like, most functional testing like this, environmental toxin testing, it's new. It's not really on the radar for the old type of
Okay, but
system.
you told him like, hey, I have mold infection. What do you do?
I showed him I have exactly this mycotoxin. I read this book. This is the treatment plan. I can source everything myself to treat myself and spend a lot of money on hyperbaric oxygen therapy, on ozone therapy. I do sauna every day to detox these things. I take a lot of binders that actually bind to the toxins so you excrete them. Because basically your body is supposed to be smart, so it has a system to recycle your bile, and the bile is where the toxins are stuck. And these toxins are so sticky so that it will get recycled into your liver instead of getting detoxed from your body. So the reason you take binder is that you want to help take these toxins and push them out through the liver, through the kidneys, through the normal detoxification system. And then there is a pharmaceutical that is added on top of this. From doctors who actually understand and know this, they add a pharmaceutical on top of it. And I had to be very persistent for them to give me this pharmaceutical in New Zealand because they had never used it for this before. So it's just a lot of work if you have to educate your doctors on how to treat you. First, you need to identify the cause. You need to diagnose yourself. You need to explain to your doctor, this is my problems, and this is how it's treated by people who are actually specializing in it. And then you need to like almost beg to get, if you need a pharmaceutical, you basically need to beg for it. And a lot of time they reject it, like they reject you wanting to do standard blood testing. Yeah, you need to pay out of pocket because they don't want to test your vitamin D levels.
So you ask them because it will be cheaper to get through them?
No, because you cannot source prescription pharmaceuticals.
You just
without
cannot
a
find
doctor.
it.
Unless you go around the system. Like I went to Bangkok, Thailand, and I bought a year worth of this pharmaceutical to not have to beg the doctor anymore. And then now I'm still taking it. Just, I'm gonna retest for the mycotoxins, but it can take years to get rid of all of it. So it's a long process, but you get gradually better. And this is just the problem with the system, and that's why
It's a serious problem.
that's why like 93% of Americans, they are metabolically sick because metabolic health is not prioritized.
So you educate the doctor, do the research, do the testings, bring the results, and ask him to prescribe a medication.
Yeah.
This is crazy story.
And they're like, but it's not the doctor's fault, it's the system.
The
Because
system.
the doctor was honest and say, if I give you a pharmaceutical that is not it's not approved for a certain condition, like
gets in
I can
trouble.
get into problem with
Yeah.
the authorities,
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
That's just so.
Because you're
so
a
wrong.
doctor, but you're not allowed to think freely, and you're not allowed to test things that are basically risk-free because they are not prescribed for that condition generally.
There is a correlation between this and the psychiatrists that were coming here visiting. The same thing they were telling me. We was talking, and I was telling them like, "Hey, why don't you prescribe nature and plants to your patients? That's the effective way to heal depression." And they're telling me the same things, that our hands are tied. We can't.
Yeah.
We're still paying student loan. We have a big house. People are enslaved by debts, and if they go against the system, they will just lose all this. So they keep you. They control you through debts, basically.
Yeah, and this brings you into a lot of darkness with authorities that are influenced by profit, by industry, by pharmaceutical, by processed food. You end up somewhere where it's not really, its main purpose is not to heal you anymore. It's basically to keep you alive, but if you're sick and alive, that's okay. So
as long as you can go to work and pay taxes, you are a valid member of society.
Yeah, you have the difference. Like either you put the band-aid on a symptom, or you do the harder work to look for a root cause, you heal that, and then your body will take care of the rest.
That's why plant medicine is the way to address root cause.
It is.
And heal you.
It is. The psychological and mental belief system and your conditioning, that is one big root cause of all types of illness, and that is the root cause that I believe plants can be really effective. Because like you're saying, the psychiatrists, they try to map your mind and dig into your mind, whereas with plant medicine you can basically transcend your mind and see it from a higher place.
Higher perspective, yeah.
Higher perspective.
You see, exactly.
And that's when things become clear. Either you're lost in the jungle or you look down on it from above.
Yeah, in psychiatry, they're using pharmaceuticals just to numb your pain, numb the problem.
Of course.
And then it continues, and then just accumulates, and then just so hard to get out of this cycle. The more you use it. So it's really like the limitation of the medical system. It's actually scary. And take it anywhere. Take it psychiatry, or you went to physician. That's a general doctor. That's a physician.
Yeah, I even went to specialists, neurologists.
You went to everywhere.
Yeah, I went to everything. Yeah,
What the neurologist told you?
Well, they basically looked at your body and to see if your nervous system or brain were damaged.
Did you do the
In a
MRI?
Yeah, I did MRI.
Everything.
No problem. No problem. I could explain.
So they say you are good. Everything is good. We don't see anything. Go home. Here is some painkillers and antidepressants.
So I did a very comprehensive approach to healing. Like I tried everything, and I spent a lot of my money on it because I was desperate.
Of course, I understand. 32 years old, surfer, athlete,
Yeah.
in the bed a year, literally. Not a good life.
Yeah. So that's pretty much my journey.
That's an amazing story. Yeah, I'm so happy that we are sharing this and helping other people to kind of get a better look
Yeah.
at it. Not only people who suffer from chronic disease, it's very specific, but also other people who, dealing with other conditions.
You can have different types of issues. You can have different types of toxins. You can have different types of like physical root causes. So the most important decision to make is to take full ownership of your healing and not outsource it to someone else.
Because they don't have answers.
Exactly.
They just don't.
And because they don't have your level of desperation and your level of drive and your level of resolve and your level of
Yeah, there's nothing in your body.
no. And it's not their life that is broken and that is falling apart. So it's like you have another type of motivation to fix your issues than anyone else will have. So
That's very true.
take ownership. It's the thing.
That's very true. That's a very good message. Take ownership of your health. Take ownership of your life.
Yes.
I would say. So what role Huachuma played in all this complex process?
The biggest role was piecing together reality, because before this I had lived in an illusion. It's piecing together reality, realizing that it was realizing with direct experience that I am not the thoughts I have. I can identify with them and believe them as a concept, but it's not really who I am. So it was like separating myself from what I had identified with. That's true. It was unblocking the ability to feel emotions, because unless you feel them, you suppress them and they are stored and trapped as energy. And it takes energy for you to store emotions and energy in your body. And it was realizing that the physical body is not really the essence who I am. Like if I have pain in my body, it's my brain interpreting signals. It's not me suffering, it's my brain telling me that my body needs some support or attention. So Huachuma helped me elevate my consciousness to a level where with clarity I could rewire my understanding of reality.
It's amazing that we have this medicine and we know how to work with it. The results of this work is just nothing less than miraculous in so many ways.
Yeah. It's a comprehensive approach to fix issues that don't have a single cause or a single solution.
That's a very amazing story, and seeing the transformation from 5 years ago to now, just so encouraging, so inspiring for other people. You know, whatever problem they have with their health, not necessarily the same as you have. The process is the same. The illness, the problem can be different, but the process is the same. There's a medical system. There is you. You need healing. They don't have answers. What do you do?
And if the problem is not clear, if you don't know the problem, you need to approach it from different angles to get to the root.
Which you have done, because they couldn't help you.
Exactly.
They just send you home with a bunch of pills.
I refused the antidepressants. I did not accept it. I knew it was not the path forward.
Amazing. What else would you like to share about, like your time here, each time when you return, what happens to you when you return each time? What would you say about difference maybe? Is it different for you to come each time?
I would say the first time I was so stuck in fixing my physical body that I was pretty focused just on that. But it was the second time around where I had gotten better physically, where I realized that it has multiple causes, it has multiple approaches, and combining physical work, training, good nutrition, and all those things, combining that with maintaining a healthy mind and healthy emotions. That became more clear the second time around. The third time around it was mostly working on transcending the emotions to basically rewire my brain to a healthier state. And fourth time was really short. And basically, this time around has been completely different because I haven't been doing this type of work for about a year and a half, a bit more.
Almost 2 years.
And coming here now, I realized that everything is different. Like, I love my life now. I love myself. I'm excited about every day. I wake up happy. I have a great relationship with my partner, and we are connected in a way that we've never been before. It was a different level of enjoyment, and the experience was elevated by not working on past baggage anymore, but more being present and visualizing the future and bringing clarity into the decisions that I have in my daily life. So the more I did work on healing the past, fixing my physical body, the better life has become. And I'm looking forward to keep visiting and keep reinforcing this level of
Connection.
love for life that I've cultivated with all this work.
Amazing. I think that's the best place to end this conversation. Love for life. Cultivate love for life. That's really the essence of this work.
Yeah.
That's what we do here. We help people to cultivate love for life. Because with that, with this energy, you just go do things.
Yeah.
Just fix everything you need and create the life you want to live. That's exactly what many people say we believe. With this excitement for life. That's the healing. That's the healing. When you're depressed, you're not excited about anything.
No,
Or sick.
Your decisions will be reflected by that.
Exactly. You're deciding from the sick place in you or from the health. It's very different.
Like, if you don't truly feel and believe and know that you're worth living your highest dream, you will not make the decisions to get there. You're stuck.
You're stuck, exactly. Huachuma can unstuck you. That's what happens.
Can, and it did.
And yes, and it does for many people. That's true.
Yeah.
So if you guys feel stuck and you're looking for a way to unstuck yourself, we're here to help. What we do works. Okay? Okay, Johan, anything to wrap up? One sentence, whatever you want to. What's the message to the world? To everybody who's watching.
With a lot of gratitude, I know that by overcoming challenges, you will change and your life will change. But you need to keep fighting. You need to get up. When something doesn't work, you need to try something else. It's just about don't give up, because healing for mostly everything is possible, but you need to take the steps.
Keep up the good fight for your health, sanity, and happiness. Okay, well,
Perfect.
we'll end here. Thank you very much, Johan. It was great seeing you and your girlfriend here.
Always great.
And we'll see you next time whenever that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck from here.
Thank you so much for everything.
Okay, perfect.